fame, money, sold-out stadiums, platinum albums stacked to the ceiling. These bands had it all. And then, one bad decision, one addiction, one ego trip, one moment of self-destruction at a time, they watched it disappear. This is not a list of bands who faded out slowly. This is a list of bands who burned so bright, so fast, that the fire turned on them. Real stories. Real collapses. Real receipts. This is the top 10 rock bands who had everything and lost it all. Number 10, Meat Loaf. One album changed rock history. Then 45 lawsuits took everything. Marvin Lee A-Day, the world knew him as Meat Loaf, released Bat Out of Hell in 1977. It is one of the highest-selling albums in the history of recorded music. Over 50 million copies sold worldwide. It shares that rarefied air with Back in Black by AC/DC and Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. For a record nobody wanted to release, that is a staggering number. Every major label rejected Bat Out of Hell before it came out. They said it was too long, too theatrical, too over the top. Cleveland International finally took the gamble. They were right. But the man behind the music was unraveling as fast as the album was selling. The grueling world tour that followed pushed Meat Loaf past the edge. He was performing rock operas every night. 9 10-minute songs that demanded every ounce of his voice and body. The substance abuse escalated. And then, somewhere in the chaos of 1981, his voice disappeared entirely. He literally lost the ability to sing. Not a cold, not a sore throat. His voice was just gone. You know I'd rather be damned with you. He could not record the follow-up album. The partnership with songwriter Jim Steinman, who had written every note of Bat Out of Hell, collapsed into a bitter legal dispute over royalties and creative control. Gotta be damned, you know I wanna be damned. Now through the... Without Steinman's songs, Meat Loaf's follow-up records fell flat. By the early 1980s, he was facing 45 simultaneous lawsuits, totaling more than $80 million in claimed damages. He filed for personal bankruptcy. The man who had just sold 50 million albums could not pay his bills. His comeback, when it finally came in 1993 with Bat Out of Hell 2, proved that the talent had never actually left. I'd Do Anything for Love became a global #1. He sold another 30 million records in the second act of his career. But between the peak and the comeback, there were years of silence, lawsuits, a missing voice, and a dream that had turned into a financial catastrophe. Heaven now come crawling. Bat Out of Hell still hits like a freight train every time it plays. But remember, the man who sang it lost everything before he could do it again. Number 9, The Who. The greatest drummer who ever lived, destroyed by the life. He couldn't stop living. Pete Townshend coined the phrase. He wrote the song. but everybody called it Teenage Wasteland.
I don't need to fight!
And in the end, that is exactly what it became. The anthem of a band whose greatest member was wasted away before the world had finished listening. Baba O'Reilly opens Who's Next, the 1971 album widely considered The Who's masterpiece. That thunderous synthesizer intro, the crashing power chords, Roger Daltrey's mighty vocal, and underneath it all, Keith Moon's drumming. Chaotic, explosive, utterly unique. Keith Moon was, by nearly every serious account, the greatest rock drummer who ever played. Author Nick Talevsky called him the greatest drummer in rock history. Holly George Warren of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wrote, "With the death of Keith Moon in 1978, rock arguably lost its single greatest drummer."
Let's get together.
And he died at 32 years old in a London apartment from an accidental overdose of prescription sedatives he had been prescribed to help him stop drinking. The band's finances had been in chaos for years. Moon's recklessness with money was legendary. By one estimate, his profit from The Who's entire 1975 UK tour was £47 and 35 pence. Not thousands, £47, because he had spent everything else. In December 1977, Moon performed Baba O'Reilly for the documentary The Kids Are All Right. It was the last time he ever played with The Who. Those who saw the footage described it as devastating. He was visibly overweight, barely holding on. A close friend who was there said, "He told me, I wish we'd got together before it. Just hung out together for a bit. That would have made it better." 9 months later, he was gone. Pete Townshend later said that carrying on after Keith's death was completely irrational, bordering on insane. But they carried on. The song that opened their greatest album, the song misnamed by millions, became the unofficial memorial of the drummer who helped make it possible. Teenage Wasteland, yes. And for Keith Moon, it came true.
Let's get together.
Number 8, Aerosmith. They were so wasted, the Grateful Dead were worried about them. Then, the voice was gone. Steven Tyler once said he spent $6 million on drugs in his lifetime. That number is either a slight exaggeration or a slight undercount, depending on who you ask. What is not in dispute is that by the late 1970s, Aerosmith, the band that would go on to sell 150 million records worldwide, was barely able to function as a band. Dream On was Tyler's first masterpiece. He wrote it as a teenager, playing piano in a cabin his parents rented in New Hampshire. He was 14 years old. And there is something in the DNA of that song, its rising urgency, the aching need for something bigger, that perfectly captures everything Aerosmith's story would eventually become. Here is the detail almost nobody knows about that song. While recording their debut album in Boston, Tyler found a suitcase outside their shared apartment. It was full of cash, almost certainly mob money. He did not tell his bandmates what it was. He used the money to buy a $2,000 keyboard to record Dream. On the way, he had always heard it in his head. Joe Perry later wrote in his memoir that the original owners showed up. One of them put a gun in Tyler's face and said, "Give us our money back." Tyler survived that. He was less fortunate with what followed. Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead, a band not exactly famous for sobriety, once pulled Tyler and Perry aside and told them point blank, "We were worried about you. You were the druggiest people we had ever seen." When the Grateful Dead are the ones calling you a cautionary tale, you have arrived somewhere genuinely dark. By 1979, Joe Perry had quit. Brad Whitford quit not long after. Tyler was collapsing on stage, faking seizures to avoid finishing shows he was too impaired to complete. The arena tours evaporated. $6 million in drugs, a gun in the face, a band dissolving in real time, and a teenage kid with a piano who just wanted to dream. Number 7, Guns N' Roses.
When I look into your eyes.
Axl had been carrying this song since 1983. When it finally came out, it tore the band apart. Axl Rose had been carrying November Rain for nearly a decade before anyone else heard it. His former collaborator, Trocky Eye Guns, who played with Axl in the band that preceded Guns N' Roses, remembered him sitting at a piano playing that melody alone, years before the band even had a name. Axl told everyone who would listen, "Someday, this song is going to be something." He was not wrong. When November Rain was released in 1992, it became the longest song ever to crack the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. 9 minutes of orchestral rock. The music video cost $1.5 million to produce. Slash performing a solo in the New Mexico desert. A helicopter overhead, an orchestra. A wedding that turns into a funeral. By 2018, the video became the first music video from the 1990s to hit 1 billion views on YouTube. It was everything Axl Rose had ever dreamed of making. And it was. Also, according to everyone who was there, the precise moment the band's foundation cracked for good. Slash wrote in his autobiography that the song represented everything the band was not supposed to be. Orchestras, backup singers, grand piano, cinematic ambition, left no room for what had made Guns N' Roses dangerous in the first place. Drummer Matt Sorum was more direct in his memoir. He had signed up for a badass rock band, not a film score. The Use Your Illusion tour that followed was history in scale and chaos in equal measure. Riots, walk-offs, fans sent home after 3-hour waits. By 1996, Slash was gone. Duff McKagan left in 1997. November Rain promised that nothing lasts forever. It delivered on that promise with precision. Number 6. Badfinger.
And now it's only fair.
They wrote one of the greatest songs ever recorded. Their manager stole everything. 2 of them didn't survive it. They were going to be the next Beatles. That is not fan mythology. That is what the Beatles themselves believed. Badfinger were the first band signed to Apple Records. Paul McCartney personally wrote their debut single and handed it to them as a gift. Lennon, Harrison, and Starr all agreed. These 4 young men from Wales had something genuinely rare. Pete Ham and Tom Evans wrote a quiet, devastating 4-minute ballad called Without You and buried it as a deep cut. Nobody released it as a single. Then Harry Nilsson heard it. Nilsson's cover hit number 1 in the US and UK in 1972. Mariah Carey took it to number 1 again in 1994. The song has been covered by over 180 artists. 2 men from Swansea wrote one of the most performed songs in history, and both men died broke, destroyed by one manager named Stan Polly. Polly took full control of Badfinger's finances. When they signed with Warner Brothers, the label advanced $600,000 into escrow. Polly drained the account and vanished. Warner Brothers pulled the band's album from every store while it was selling 25,000 copies per week. Beat dead overnight. By April 1975, Pete Ham had bought a house on credit that was gone. His girlfriend was pregnant. He called Polly for weeks. No answer. On April 23rd, he confirmed the money was gone. His final note ended, "Stan Polly is a soulless bastard." He was 3 days from his 28th birthday. His daughter was born 1 month after his death. 8 years later, Tom Evans, still fighting over Without You royalties, also took his own life. He was 36. Stan Polly died in California in 2009 and is not known to have expressed remorse to anyone. Number 5. Nirvana. He wrote it to mock revolution. It became the revolution, and he couldn't survive what came next. Kurt Cobain never wanted to be the voice of a generation. He said so repeatedly, explicitly, with visible discomfort every time someone placed that title on him. He wrote Smells Like Teen Spirit as sarcasm. The lyric, "Here we are now, entertain us," was a deliberate eye roll, not a rallying cry. He told journalists the whole song was making fun of the idea of having a revolution. He did not even want it as the lead single. He pushed for In Bloom to open the album. Instead, he also did not know Teen Spirit was a deodorant brand when he wrote the title. His friend Kathleen Hanna had scrawled it on his wall as a joke. Cobain thought it was a radical statement. He found out the truth months after, so the song had already changed the world. Nevermind was recorded on $65,000. To fund the trip to Los Angeles, Nirvana played a small Seattle club show in April 1991. The first ever public performance of Smells Like Teen Spirit. They needed the door money to cover the gas. Five months later, Nevermind knocked Michael Jackson's Dangerous off the top of the Billboard 200. It was selling 300,000 copies every week. Rolling Stone crowned him spokesman of a generation. He said, the label made him physically ill. He had wanted to make raw punk music in the tradition of the Pixies. Instead, he had accidentally created the defining cultural movement of the decade. And the weight of it became something he could not carry. On April 5th, 1994, Kurt Cobain was found dead at his home in Seattle. He was 27 years old. The song he wrote as a joke became one of the most important recordings of the 20th century. He never got to decide what it meant. Number 4. Fleetwood Mac. His band sold 45 million albums. He still went bankrupt and lost $8 million to cocaine. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors is one of the best-selling albums in the history of music. 45 million copies. Rolling Stone placed it among the 10 highest-selling albums ever made. The royalties alone should have set every founding member up for life. And Mick Fleetwood, the drummer who co-founded the band 17 years before Rumors existed, filed for personal bankruptcy in 1984. Rolling Stone covered the story. The question everyone asked was the same. How is this possible? Here is the answer. Run in the shadows. As the drummer, Fleetwood did not write the band's songs. In the music business, publishing royalties, the ongoing income from songwriting credit is where real generational wealth accumulates. Performance income is finite. Publishing continues for the lifetime of the copyright. Mick Fleetwood earned the former. He did not earn the latter. By his own account, he made less money than any other major member of one of the most commercially successful bands ever assembled. And then he spent what he did make with extraordinary thoroughness. By his own public estimate, cocaine cost him approximately $8 million. Not the band collectively, him personally, $8 million. Alongside that and came the real estate. Sweeping properties purchased at the band's commercial peak and completely unsustainable when the income slowed. His own lawyer once described him publicly as a man who loved big drums, beautiful women, and magnificent pieces of real estate. The description was affectionate. The outcome was bankruptcy court. The Chain is the only song on Rumors credited to all 5 members, built from musical scraps each of them had separately abandoned. That is what the band was. Mick Fleetwood helped build that. Then he filed the paperwork that proved building a legend does not automatically pay your bills. Number 3, Slade. They were bigger than Bowie in England. Then they blew everything on a film nobody in America saw. Before you say who, let the numbers speak. Between 1971 and 1974, Slade had 6 #1 singles in the United Kingdom. 6 in 3 years. No British band had done that since the Beatles. They were filling Wembley Stadium. They were outselling David Bowie, outselling Rod Stewart, the loudest, most joyful, most unstoppable commercial force in British rock. Noddy Holder's scream at the opening of Come On, Feel the Noise is one of the most instantly recognizable sounds in rock history. When Quiet Riot covered it in 1983 and took it to the top 5 in America, it was because the original was still so embedded in the culture, it had never fully faded. At their absolute peak, Slade were enormous. And then they made the decision that ended them. In 1974, management proposed a strategy that would prove catastrophic. America was the unconquered frontier. If Slade could break the U.S. market the way the Beatles and Stones had, they would become permanent. The plan was a full cinematic rock film. Slade in Flame, designed to introduce them to American audiences the way A Hard Day's Night had introduced the Beatles. The film cost $25 million to produce. The problem was irreversible. American audiences had never meaningfully encountered Slade. While the band spent years away from England pursuing U.S. recognition, their British fan base, the one that had made them untouchable, moved on. Punk arrived and rewrote everything. When Slade came back, the stages they had filled were occupied by other people. Noddy Holder said it plainly. Walking away from the crowd that had crowned them at the peak of their power was the single biggest mistake they ever made. They had the biggest noise in British rock. They spent everything chasing an audience that was not yet listening. Number 2, the Rolling Stones.
No colors anymore.
Brian Jones. He founded the Rolling Stones. 26 days after they fired him, he was dead in his own swimming pool.
Till my darkness goes.
Before Mick Jagger, before Keith Richards, before any of it, there was Brian Jones.
Never to come back.
Brian Jones founded the Rolling Stones. He chose the name. He recruited Jagger and Richards personally. He organized the early rehearsals, booked the first gigs, and had the vision of what the band could become before anyone else in the room could see it.
Haven't been too glad.
And the most distinctive recording the Stones ever made exists entirely because of him. Paint It Black.
Or will my green seagull turn a deeper blue?
That sitar melody that defines every second of the song from its opening note was Brian Jones. He taught himself the sitar in a matter of weeks specifically to play it on that record.
Before the morning comes.
He had never touched the instrument before. He also mastered slide, guitar, harmonica, dulcimer, and harpsichord at various points into the band's early years. Brian Jones was the musical center of the Rolling Stones. In ways his bandmates only slowly began to overshadow, and by 1969, the band he had built was firing him. Jones was a genius and a deeply troubled man. His drug use had escalated catastrophically. Criminal convictions, missed recording sessions, increasing absences. By early 1969, he was contributing almost nothing. On June 8, 1969, Jagger and Richards drove to Jones's home at Cochford Farm in Sussex and told him he was out. 26 days later, on July 3rd, 1969, Brian Jones was found dead at the bottom of his own swimming pool. He was 27 years old. He became the first member of what would be called the 27 Club. Hendrix, Joplin, Morrison, and Cobain would follow, but Jones was first. Jagger and Richards are still performing, still filling stadiums. The man who built their band was dead within a month of leaving it. Number 1, Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose. He built the greatest rock band in the world. Then he spent 15 years alone burning $30 million on one album nobody was sure would ever exist. Appetite for Destruction is the best-selling debut album of all time. 30 million copies. Welcome to the jungle. Paradise City, Sweet Child O' Mine. Five songs that rewrote every rule of rock and roll. Recorded in 1986 on a budget the engineers nearly laughed at. Within 3 years, Guns N' Roses were the biggest rock band on Earth. Not one of the biggest, and then they all left. Izzy quit in 1991. Sorum was fired. Duff left in 1997. Slash, whose guitar tone was as instantly recognizable as any sound in rock history, walked out in 1996. Axl Rose stayed in a Los Angeles mansion, alone, surrounded by session musicians and people who reportedly could not tell him no. Axl spent 15 years and $13 million trying to finish the follow-up album. $13 million for one record. It was called Chinese Democracy. Announced, delayed, announced again, delayed again. Dr. Pepper publicly offered a free can to every American if it released in 2008. They meant it as a joke. Axl delivered. Dr. Pepper had to honor the offer. Slash said, watching Axl during those years was like watching a man disappear into his own mythology. In 2002, when Axl failed to appear in Vancouver, a riot broke out. Real arrests. Real destruction. Chinese Democracy debuted at number 3. A whisper from a man who had once commanded thunder. In 2016, Slash and Duff returned. The reunion became the third highest grossing tour in history. The fans came back. The songs hit exactly as they always had. But for 15 years, the jungle Axl was really singing about was the one inside his own mind.